Mr. Derek Carey, who was the editor on Screaming in High Heels. And one question I have, I just want to start out with, then we'll totally open it up to anyone on the floor. But, in talks with you about this, how many movies did you have to sit through to pick out clips, and how long of a process was that?
Well, the film was initially filmed in LA in February. And Jason, Paul Collins, the writer and director of this, he gave me the next week, because we had a premiere of another movie, and I went over to his house. He was like, here you go, here's the movies to watch. I already had some, because obviously everyone has Return of the Living Dead and Night of the Demons and blah, blah, blah. He gave me 2 huge boxes of movies, along with other movies I had cured from the internet and whatnot. So the answer to the question is about 70. Yeah, and I watched all of them. It took, in order to watch all of those, now I'm going to be honest, there's this amazing feature on the PlayStation 3 where if you put something in, you can just tap the over button and it goes 1.5 speed. Because not all, hey, I love this this is my kind of movie, I love these kind of movies, but not all of them are good. So I watched a lot of them that way, but a month and a half of non-stop watching beautiful women with their tits hanging out getting chased by rubber monsters surprisingly gets old after a little bit. But yeah, it is, every night would be, I'd sit down, my wife would be like, what are we watching? And I'd plunk it in, I'd say the name like Assault of the Killer Bimbos, and she'd be, okay, let's go. And within a half hour she'd be asleep, and then three movies later I would be in bed. So.
All right, anyone got any questions? I see a hand.
Were there any of those 70 movies that you hadn't seen before and they were pleasant surprises and that maybe are your favorites now?
There were many movies because, to be honest, Linnea Quigley was really on my radar because everyone's seen a lot of her movies. And Brink, I've seen a bunch of her stuff. But Michelle, I hadn't seen a lot of hers before. I had never seen Nightmare Sisters before this. In that movie, yeah, it's not out right now. It's really rare to find, and we're hoping that this kind of spurs, because this movie actually spurred into motion Dave Dakota to make the new Scream Queen movie with all 3 of them, which is called 1313 Cougar Cult, which should be coming out, I believe, at the beginning of the year. And we were lucky enough to premiere this at Flashback in Chicago in August. And we got to hang out with Linnea the entire weekend, and it's going to be something. She told me a bunch about it, and it's going to be something. It kind of sounds like Nightmare Sisters, but Nightmare Sisters was the one that, if it ever comes out, or you guys ever get around to like finding it somewhere, it's amazing. It is so fun, so cute. It's seriously, if you're not sold from the first scene alone, then none of these movies are your bag. So Nightmare Sisters was really one. There were so many. I mean, off the top of my head, that is the one that stuck out for me. And that's why there's so much of it in here. We got the rights from Full Moon, was gracious enough to just give us a ton of stuff. They were game. Fred Olin Ray gave us everything, because obviously he's in it. Trying to think, we had some problems with some of the other movies. We don't know who has the rights to Silent Night, Deadly Night anymore. We couldn't find anybody, and that's after an exhaustive search. But yeah, it's a lot of movies. It was a lot of movies, but it was a lot of fun. I get paid to watch shitty movies. How many people here can raise their hands and say that? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Do we have any other questions for Derek right now? Do I see a hand? I think I see one. Do I? It's really dark up here. Anyone? No. Okay, something I do want to point out, though, that after you mentioned this, that it premiered at Flashback. But this is the Wisconsin premiere. This is the first time that it was being shown in Wisconsin, which is a very terrific thing to have. So we're very happy to have that here. Talk a little bit more just about the editorial process for, like, okay, you watch the films, And then was it you'd approach Jason with, okay, I think we need to use this clip? Or was it kind of, all right, Linnea talked about this movie and this scene, so obviously that was the one that you would go with, but how was the selectoral process done?
Well, he had an outline of what the basic structure he wanted to story-wise have, and I looked through all the interviews prior to seeing any of the movies or watching any of the movies, just so I know what the general theme was and what it, context-wise, what I needed to cull from all the movies. Then I went into watching the films. Now, normally most people watch films and turn their brains off, right? I had to watch all these shitty movies and think about contextually how I was going to use these and write down times of when these clips were, so then I could go in, and then important, because I cut this on Final Cut Pro, and I ingested these movies in just the little clips. Because ingesting a whole movie, 670 movies, I don't have that much hard drive space. So then I went through and did that, brought them in, and we had done another documentary last year for Shout Factory for the Slumber Party Massacre movies, which was pretty much the same kind of style, but it was only 3 movies. So it was a lot easier, and the editorial process went by very fast. But this, because there's like 7 or 8 people that are in here, and the 70 movies, not even counting the TV clips, and the like commercials and all this other stuff, and all the pictures and all this stuff, it took a while. We really wanted to nail this thing, and we wanted to have it fun. This is intended for broadcast, so we wanted this thing to be in little sections so that if it got cut up, it could be put on TV with commercials, and there would be no, that's why you kind of see some of the, there's some editing ticks where it goes to static and then comes back. That's an aesthetic choice, but also it is for when, if it gets put onto, because we've had some offers from like Chiller and some other stations like that, it can get cut up, and it's not going to feel awkward. So it took, yeah, it took a while. Over like the entire thing, I would say probably took almost 6 months. Almost 6 months to edit, and some of that also was us trying to secure licensing for some of the films. So I would put stuff in. Jason and I have this relationship where he kind of trusts my judgment of what I'm going to put in there editorially, and I kind of throw it at him. So I kind of take some chances and see what his reaction's going to be, and Jason's easy. So usually when I throw it at him, he's like, "It's perfect! It's awesome!" I'm like, "Come on, dude, rip this thing apart. Tell me what sucks about this play." I guess I rock that much that nothing sucks. But yeah, it took like 6 months.
And where do things stand with the film right now? You said there are a couple offers from Chiller. Is it too soon to say anything, or let us know a little bit about that?
Yeah, it is a little too early right now. It's being shopped around by the rep that did the Nightmare on Elm Street documentary, Never Sleeps Again, and he also did My Name is Jason, because Anthony Massey, who's the director of this, or whatever, My Name is Jason, whatever, yeah. But Anthony Massey, the director of those, he also did the brand new Scream documentary, Still Screaming. His rep, that's where we filmed this film, in his apartment. So his rep is kind of shopping this around right now, and we've had a few offers. Ultimately, I have a feeling it's going to come out on DVD. I mean, it's too early to speculate on that at this point, because the whole distribution thing, just my brain's exploding, pour out my nose. I mean, it's frustrating. Any filmmaker knows that. So yeah, it could be a while. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this, because it may be a long time before it's ever shown anywhere else. I know there's going to be a few showings, one in Atlanta, I think there's one scheduled in LA. We're trying to like do a simultaneous screening with Cougar Cult. See, I mean it's a pretty easy one to figure that one out, but yeah, I don't know, there may be things popped here and there. If you guys like it and want to follow it, we have a Facebook page, and we are always willing to sit and chat and let you guys know what's going on, so yeah.
Well, let's hear it for Derek and Screaming in High Heels. Derek is around all day.